Hi everyone. I have a story to read to you today called Pumpkin Town. And if you take a look there, do you guys see the little town and all those pumpkins? Pretty soon, you guys are going to be in search of a pumpkin for Halloween, I bet. I just thought this would be a fun one for us to read. Are you ready? Okay. Jose and his family grew pumpkins. That growing began with tiny seeds, which were followed by long vines, and those vines grew every which way. The pumpkins grew every which way too, from small to fat to tall. The Jack Be Littles could be dropped into pockets. The Happy Jacks were bigger and strong enough. A stronger boy could carry one. And the Big Moons were bigger still, too large for even 5 boys to roll. Come fall, Jose and his family would gather the pumpkins and collect the vines. Then 2 trucks took the fruit to a faraway city. Some were hollowed and carved, and some were saved for pies. But before the trucks took the pumpkins, Jose and his family saved a few. They needed the seeds. When it came to saving pumpkins, Jose's father always said, "Save only the best and sell the rest." So Jose and his brothers hollowed the best pumpkins, and they saved only the biggest, brightest seeds. They took the duller, smaller seeds to the edge of the field overlooking the town, and they tossed them. But one gusty, dusty October day, when Jose and his brothers took the lesser seeds to the edge of the field and flung them, the wind caught those seeds and carried them and didn't let them loose until they fell like rain down on a distant town. The seeds slipped into straw roofs and settled onto flower pots and sprinkled into gardens. And it seemed to be the end of it. But the next spring, rain awoke those small seeds, and plants began. More rain fell, and the vines grew every which way. They wrapped around the chimneys, and they wound through the corn. At first, the townspeople liked the vines, for they were lovely and delicate. But then the vines began to climb up and down and around, growing leafy and thick. They snaked green and silent through one window and then out the other. What do you guys think is going to happen? Then fruit grew and grew and grew every which way. Soon the townspeople were stepping over pumpkins, and around pumpkins and under pumpkins. It was hard to even walk down the block. Rooftops sagged under the weight of the big moons. Fences fell, and when the wind blew, one had to dodge Happy Jacks and Jack Be Littles that were falling from the trees. "Nothing is worse than pumpkins," groaned the townspeople. Meanwhile, up on the mountainside, Jose and his family cut and stacked their pumpkins, saving only the best. And when they were done, they stepped back and they said, "Nothing is better than pumpkins." But when Jose and his family looked down at the town, it looked odd. It seemed so green and orange. Since their field work was done, and because Jose and his brothers were curious, they walked down to the town next day, where they saw more vines and more pumpkins than they had ever imagined. They remembered the gusty, dusty day that they had scattered the seeds. "It is our fault," whispered Jose. "We must do something," whispered his brothers. "We rest for now," whispered Jose. But that night, Jose and his brothers, they cut and they stacked the pumpkins and the vines. They worked as quietly as they could, but some townspeople still sneaked peeks. They marveled at how well the brothers worked. The brothers climbed up the poles and they twined through the trees and they snaked silent through the windows and out the others, gathering and stacking pumpkins and vines. When the townspeople awoke, they discovered mountains of pumpkins and a hill of vines and a mound of tired brothers. While the brothers slept, the townspeople filled a wagon with hay and set 5 great watermelons between Jose and his brothers, in thanks for their aid. The wagon took the brothers back to their home, where they laid in the glossy grass, still sleeping. When their father found them there, he asked what they had done to deserve the great watermelons. We just helped the townspeople with their harvest, said the brothers, which was true, and nothing more was said. Down in the town, 5 trucks came for the mountain of pumpkins, and the townspeople were given a grand sum of money for all of the fruit. Nothing better than pumpkins, they said. Much of the money went towards the feast, held around a bonfire made by the burning hill of vines. It was decided then that the rest of the pumpkin money would be spent to carve a statue of the 5 mysterious brothers who had made a mountain of pumpkins. It took all of the next week for the townspeople to repair their roofs and their fences, and it took all of that week for Jose and his brothers and his fathers to eat their great gifts. The watermelons were so sweet that Jose and his family said, "There is nothing better than watermelons." "Be careful with those seeds," Jose's father said. "Our field grows pumpkins, not watermelons." So Jose's family filled a great bowl with seeds, and those seeds were forgotten until a day later, when the wind roused Jose's father at night. He feared that some of those watermelon seeds might be blown into their field. By moonlight, he carried the bowl to the edge of his field, and he tossed the seeds. The wind caught those seeds and carried them, and didn't let them loose until they fell like rain down on the town. The watermelon seeds slipped into straw roofs and settled into flower pots and sprinkled gardens and slid into the soil around the statue of Jose and his brothers. And that seemed to be the end of it. The end. If you look very closely, you can see the town, and it's inside a giant watermelon. What do you guys think is going to happen to all of those watermelon seeds that his father threw out into the field that night? Do you think he's going to have a whole town full of watermelons next? Maybe. I bet you guys are right. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that story, and we will see you again very soon. Bye.